there, which doesn't look good, but I'm trying to get that puffy microphone into my shirt in case we're doing an interview outside. And the one thing I've found not so good about this Rode Wireless Pro so far is that clip on the microphone very easily disappears. I did an interview on an island last week out in nature, and once we were done with the interview object tore off the microphone and the clip disappeared on the ground. And now I only have one lav mic with a clip, so I have to find some new ones or use a sports tape for now. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I got the 50mm from Sony G Master 1.2, and I have done one professional assignment with this lens, and I want to tell you some of my experiences so far. This assignment was kind of a run and gun situation out in nature. I ran between individuals out on the island where I was doing the interview. It lasted about 3 hours, a lot of sweating, a lot of running, totally exhausted when I was done. But this is the most fun video assignments I really can get, because it reminds me of the family trips when we're in the mountains or anywhere else outside. So I also had to do a little bit of photography this time, so I clipped the photo camera to my backpack strap, and I had this FX3 with a microphone and only the handle like this. I used the monitor on the back, because you never know where you're going into the terrain. It can be steep, it can be wet, the weather can change, so you better have a little rig so you probably can put it in the backpack very easy. Or yeah, actually this is all you need to get the real footage. The bigger monitors and the bigger rigs maybe can do the job a little bit easier, but this is really all you need to get the image. The sensor is what's capturing the image, and the audio. With 32-bit float, you're safe. Well, the first thing you see when you unbox the lens is, of course, the size of the lens. The design is pretty much the same as every other G Master lenses. I'm not going into details about this. I will only tell you how my practical experiences is with using this lens. So no technical data, other than it's a 50mm and f-stop 1.2, and I only used the f2.0, and not for photography so far, only for video. But back to the design, it's very similar to the rest of the G Master lenses. It kind of reminded me of the 85 1.4, the much older lens from Sony, but when you put it on the camera, of course it's still front heavy, but it balances better than the 85 either way. So the reason why I got this 50mm is that many of the professional video makers or filmmakers use fixed focal lengths and prime lenses, very much because of the quality it gets. Both in bokeh and the image quality all over is generally much better than zoom lens. And the first thing I noticed from this lens contra this 2470 G Master is that the barrel effect and hourglass effect is much less noticeable on these fixed focal lengths. And that's probably, I'm now shooting on the 2470 on this camera, and I really have a hard time finding the right point right in the middle between the hourglass and the barrel effect to get straight lines on the sides of the picture. That's not so much a problem with a fixed lens. So that's one good thing for sure. The sweet spot for bokeh is generally f2.0, and if you're using that throughout your whole film, I will say you're good to go. But of course, there are times when you want higher f-stop or a lower f-stop, but going lower than 2.0 is, or opening up the iris more than 2.0 can be quite challenging because the eye on a subject or anything else very easily gets out of focus. And when you're opening up so much and using the Sony EI profile, the FX3, you are starting at ISO 800, which lets a lot of light into the lens. That's when you want an ND filter, and I have the 82mm thread from Polar Pro. The lens has a diameter of 72mm, so I bought a step-up ring so I could save some money on the ND filter. I started at this assignment filming about 4 o'clock, and we're now in April, so the sun is pretty high on the sky, which gives a pretty harsh and strong light into the lens. So this was really on the limit of what this filter with a stop from 1 to 5 is able to handle at this high ISO. So there were times when I had to stop down to about 4 on the iris just to close some of the light out from the lens. And another thing which is very important when you are shooting alone and there is a lot of things happening, you have to be quick, is the autofocus capabilities. And of course this is a very new lens with the latest technology of autofocus. I have been relying on autofocus for many years now. I know that there are situations when you need to do manual focusing, but I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible and only control where the focus point is on the monitor on the back here. And if you have done the right settings, speed of autofocus from back to further away and vice versa, and has put the autofocus point on the right place here, you should be able to use, I will say, autofocus in 90% of the situations in a run-and-gun film, in a run-and-gun assignment like this. There were times when I had to use manual focusing, maybe when you're hiding in bushes and want the people through the bushes or trees or low to the grass or something. But then it's very planned and you usually have time to do the manual focusing, which is quite good on this lens. Maybe some of you want to know if there is some vignetting with the step-up ring on this 50mm lens and this Polar Pro Peter McKinnon variable ND filter 1 to 5 stops. No, I couldn't see any vignetting at all. Back to the fixed focal length, I was very hesitant about doing only one focal length throughout a whole video. That's not a problem as long as you use your legs and move back and forth. Of course, you have to work a little more to get your shots because you generally want an opening shot which gives the overview of the scene. You want a middle shot and you want the narrower shot. So you have to move much back and forth. That's not a problem. You get what you want into the lens. You don't get, of course, you get very extreme wide angle shots, low to the ground or landscape-like feel, but that's not a problem if you decide that the style is going to be 50mm for your video. Probably it can get a little bit boring because moving back and forth with a 50mm lens to get the same frame as you do with a zoom lens is not the same anyway, because if you stand at one point and want the same frame from the fixed lens, and zoom lens, you will be able to zoom in and get the background closer with a zoom lens than with a fixed lens. Maybe that can give you more varied shots and probably some more exciting shots in your video, but this is compromises you have to make. The good thing is that you don't need to be afraid to get rain inside the barrel when you're focusing, and there is one less element to take into consideration when you're filming. Much easier. Conclusion, so far after one assignment doing only video and not photography with this lens, totally worth it. And that leads us to the price, which is pretty high. It's about 24,000 Norwegian kroners, which is about 2,400 USD. Very expensive, but I hope all of us will have this lens for many years and that it gives us very much joy. So, we'll still use this lens. I probably will fix this to the FX3 from now on a few assignments, see if this is the only thing I need, and only use the zoom lens on the camera when it's really necessary. So enjoy your lens, your 50mm 1.2, and make some good videos. Holla!